It's like it's like a standoff. Like I have my 2 guns, you have your 2 guns.
I remember we just shift around for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you're
What is up, Watch Fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Watch Shop.
My name is Michael. This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Do you need a website or domain?
Yeah.
Head on over to Squarespace. More on them later. Today we're having a long conversation about... Well, the gateway is Kevin Hart,
Yes.
and his interview on Hodinkee with Ben Clymer.
Yep.
We're talking about his watch collection and really even like, on a larger sense, what Hodinkee's relationships with celebrities have done for the watch community.
Why it's so much more impactful
Than just regular celebrity endorsements like whether it's George Clooney or David Beckham or whomever. So it's a conversation about kind of growing the watch community and really what sells us. There are a couple of awkward moments in this interview that
Incredibly awkward.
You caught, maybe...
Yeah, at the end we talk about it where Kevin Hart really just blew it for a second.
A little
or
bit.
Like almost blew it like really bad.
And it wasn't his fault so much as it was Hodinkee's for like not editing it.
Cut that out.
What the
Yeah, right.
It added nothing and could only potentially detract.
And both Hodinkee and Kevin Hart. It
Absolutely.
could have really damaged both.
And I wouldn't blame AP for being upset.
Neither would
I wouldn't blame them.
Because it's the most, there's no nuance about it. It's incredibly obvious.
Absolutely.
First up, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing my Rolex Datejust, reference 1601, my blue dial. I wore it a couple times. It's funny, and I think that it resonated with a lot of you guys. You always have a special place in your heart for your first watch.
Yeah, of course.
But you definitely go through periods where you wear it less.
Yeah.
And that's silly. It's kind of like, I don't know, it feels like shit. When I look at this watch sometimes, I'm like, I haven't worn that in a while and I feel guilty.
Do you go through it like when you do wear it and then you put it down and you think about the power reserve is like slowly dying? You're like,
wow, that's dark.
I think about that all the time.
Yeah, you're like, you ever when your grandma died in hospice and I'm like, what the f***?
Like, and you look at your Rolex and you think like maybe it's all for naught.
Yeah.
You don't have that feeling? Kevin Hart, though, going on that point, and we'll get into the real business discussion later, but he is a businessman, and there's this Jay-Z phrase, which I'm going to mess it up.
What? Sorry. No, go.
No, go for it.
I'm not a businessman. I'm a
No, not that. But he was talking about Kanye West versus 50 Cent, and he said Kanye West gets the trophies, 50 Cent gets the checks. Now Kanye West obviously got the checks too,
right?
But back then, when Kanye and 50 were still like at the peak, it was like 50's making all this money because he's owning everything.
Yes.
Kanye's doing this like artistic route, not owning anything yet, but like getting all the trophies and the recognition.
Yes.
But 50 has the bankroll.
And Kanye really turned around and started criticizing that, specifically in the clothing world later on.
Yep.
He would call out like the owners of all these big conglomerates and kind of say, we're broke compared to these guys. These guys control the world. And
exactly.
He wanted to
he flipped everything. But then Kevin Hart is...
And when I'm saying controlled the world, I think he was specifically talking about Arnault.
Wow.
And he was saying, he owns the world and whatever. He was getting kind of, nasty about conglomerates.
You made Kanye or whoever makes $10 million off a brand deal. Arnault made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
exactly.
That's a different thing.
Right. Well, and it kind of does make you feel, I guess, like the little dancing jester,
Yeah, of course.
You gave me a nickel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To any scale, you look at a guy that makes $10,000 doing all this work, and then the guy that made $10,000 sees the guy that hired him make $1 million off of it.
Right.
You're
It's
like,
crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, 100%.
But Kevin Hart, and we'll get into the owning later, but I feel like you see him doing movies with The Rock, those guys have the same mindset. They're like, we'll do this rom-com that everybody in the world is going to watch.
Yes.
It really means nothing. I'm not going to win an Oscar for it, but I made $80 million off of it. And then you have like Daniel Day-Lewis types, which are like, I did this for $1 million, which is still a lot of money, but I did this for $1 million. It's a passion project.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like some of the best advice that I ever got was just like, and these guys do it. I mean, it's you need to reverse engineer what success looks like to you, right? I think that and it's different for everyone if you think about it long enough. I think for Daniel Day-Lewis, success looks like the guy doesn't want to be broke, but success foremost looks like being a actor that he feels should
Yeah.
deserves respect.
He's like proud of that act.
Exactly.
Right.
Where I think that Kevin Hart, I mean, yeah, he's got some great comedy, but listen, he's in it for some money too.
These jokes sell out arenas. These jokes,
Yeah.
or like this character books these massive films, like, and I'm gonna own everything.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna roll in
frustrated
it.
short guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Frustrated, short guy.
With big strong guy.
Yes.
Always put him and
100%.
Dwayne together. But it's that very like stereotypical. Like Dwayne Johnson always plays like I'm more feminine than you thought because I'm 6'8" and ripped.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart's like I'm an angry like short guy.
Yeah.
Boom. Mm-hmm. Pays out. But you see that translate to watches because he's saying in this video like, oh, I look at all the auctions. I'm like, why is that going for this much? Why is that doing this? Why is that price shifting here? When a guy that has this much money, you think by that point you're like, watches are my like hobby.
Yeah.
But he is very much of the mindset of like, what is happening in this business world?
Right.
So, anyways, we'll get into the weird business move that we'll talk about later. But we'll hop into his collection really quick. We're not going to go over all of it because it is really, it does get into, I feel like once you have a certain amount of money, it's like, these are the 50 Royal Oaks I have.
Right.
And it's like, okay, great.
It doesn't mean
a
anything.
Royal Oak is a Royal
Right.
Oak. But anyways, he starts off saying the first watch he ever had was like this, and I thought it was going to be Jacob & Co. originally. Right. It's not, though, I don't think.
It's the same theory, though.
Same theory. This like independent guy that basically blings out watches and is like, this is my diamond company.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I think that diamonds appeal to us, to the people, for the same reason that, gold does, right? I mean, gold has weight, right?
Yeah.
Even white gold, right? I mean, like, no. You.
Like what?
What I'm saying is, yellow gold and diamonds both you.
You'd be so surprised at how heavy
my GMT is, because it's not the steel model.
It's also, you never make that joke. I started that joke and I enforce it.
A yellow gold watch and a diamond watch both are popular for the same reason, because they are incredibly obvious.
Yes.
They are blingy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It appeals to that same fundamentally human kind of inclination, right?
Yeah.
To have bling. Then obviously you get into it more, and you still like weight, but maybe you go platinum or white gold or whatever, or you go into complications as opposed to diamonds, because what you come to realize is yellow gold watches and diamond watches aren't necessarily valuable at all.
Exactly.
They can be, but they're not necessarily.
You can kind of see Kevin Hart immediately obviously say what I feel is the obvious answer, that like I flirted with Jacob & Co. for a second, and Ben is like yep, and he's like, and then obviously I moved on.
Yeah.
And like that I feel like will be the bigger discussion later, but it really does, like, it gets into that, like, no, it's obvious that this is not a store of value once you do that. Once you drill holes in this watch,
Of course.
it's toast.
Of course.
But anyways, thought that was awesome.
Yep.
And then we hop into Jay-Z. Not really a lot. Like, he's not in this video. But his, like, I just quoted him before, and now he's here again. Kevin Hart basically being like, I saw Jay-Z mentioning all these other brands that were, like, not Jacob & Co., that were not Rolex. And I was like, oh, if he's doing it, then that's cool.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to see, like, he's in all facets, like, in the business world for comedians and rappers and everything. Everybody's like, well, he did that, so, like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, Jay-Z's an interesting character, Jay-Z kind of gets to, which is the ultimate for, I mean, for a lot of people, and I definitely see it as well. It's the ultimate metropolitan story, right? A metropolitan guy wants a mysterious amount of street cred.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
As well as $1 billion.
Exactly.
And that guy laughs at stockbrokers.
Right.
Because you're a pussy. And you're not capable of anything.
Right.
And if push comes to shove, you're not ready to go to jail.
Yep.
And you don't, you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
you're a
Yeah.
That's what Jay-Z is.
That's what Jay-Z is.
Jay-Z is like, I will wear my Jeje Le Coult Reverso in rose gold. I will wear Cartier Crash. I will wear all these elegant things. I will wear phenomenal tuxedos. I will attend events.
Yes.
And if you want to see me get serious with you, I will slap you and
go to jail.
And you will not be the first person I have stabbed.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's cool. Right?
So
That is
everybody's
great.
like, oh,
That is Jay Gatsby. I mean,
If he wears this,
that is
right.
Rick from Casablanca, right? That is the archetype that Americans have
Right.
fallen in love with time and time again. The mysterious, kind of dangerous billionaire.
You're not a cookie cutter dude.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
You know, that's the move.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jay-Z has this beautiful, elegant side, you know?
Yep.
Bizarre.
So weird. And just, it's so strong. Everybody references Jay-Z. Not in the watch, not just in the watch world, but Kevin Hart's like, oh, okay, then if he's doing that, then I'll do that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's been through everything.
Yes.
So then we jump into, obviously, he got into Rolex, as everybody does. They follow that little graph.
Yep.
He had a Rolex sub 16610.
Yep. Well, I think it's funny to go from the diamond watch to a Rolex 16610, the most plain Jane Rolex.
It's the most, everybody would be like, that's
The
a pretty
most boring
watch.
It's a
Next
great
to the
watch.
Explorer 1. A great watch. I have an Explorer 1.
But incredibly boring.
Yeah. And then we move into, and I screenshotted just one watch that he talks about. You can see the full video, obviously. The Star Wheel AP Ref 25720BA.
Yeah, it's a rare watch.
Do you know about that watch?
Oh, I've seen it before on Instagram, but I've never,
I've never seen it before. I know about the Wandering Hour.
Yeah.
Which it's not a complication that's exclusive to AP, but what a cool concept.
So
where
cool.
If you don't know, obviously we have the minute track above, and then we have the hour hand below that, or the hour disc below that. There's 3 of them with different hours. And it looks like logically the next one's going to be 7. Obviously
Right.
that doesn't make sense. So everything is kind of shifting in that
Yeah,
direction.
it's fucking wild.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, not like okay, this guy's into watches.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
This guy
right.
likes watches.
He says Torb. I'm like, you like watches?
Yeah, absolutely. And even the proportions on a watch like this, it's not a ginormous
36.
watch. Yeah, it's 36 millimeters. It's
Yeah.
incredibly thin. You know, you're like, again, you know, you're comfortable because a Royal Oak is very, very masculine, traditionally masculine.
Yep.
And now that watch is okay. I mean, you know, you're gonna get no street cred for that watch from the mass.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
But what's funny is in this interview, they're briefly chatting about like what celebrities are like into watches. And you could hear Kevin Hart's obviously very into watches, but the way he's talking about people, he's like, "Oh yeah, that guy's seriously."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, it's the same community that we have.
Yeah.
It's just
More famous.
You're
and rich.
super famous. Yeah. But the way he's talking about it, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's like I can compare people I know to that type of collective, which is crazy." This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
Do you need a website or domain?
Actually, not right now.
But many of you do now and all the time. I don't just suggest Squarespace for people that are now starting their businesses and want to have affordable is an understatement, an affordable, incredibly beautiful, functional website. I don't even just suggest it to those people. I suggest it to everyone with businesses and social profiles to actually migrate even over to Squarespace. I go on websites all the time, even local businesses, right? I mean, my buddies, people all over, and the websites are not intuitive. They're not beautiful. They do not look like they are not a proper and attractive representation of the business.
Right.
These people need to migrate over to Squarespace. Their user experience is unbelievable. All of their themes are so easy to use and customize. You know, the perfect baseline, a baseline site. They're beautiful. You know, it's like pre-branded almost. You know,
it's
so
set up and it
tasteful.
goes. It's basically their designs are universally accepted as beautiful to any scale of any business. You will see massive businesses with a site that's powered by Squarespace.
Exactly. If it weren't for Squarespace, I certainly wouldn't have my business. My business wouldn't have been as successful as it was. We immediately, looked older and more mature than we were, right? And I didn't have a big web budget, right? I had a Squarespace budget, right?
Yeah.
So I highly recommend Squarespace. Again, easy to use, and the quality of the product it yields is just unbelievable. Head on over to squarespace.com.
Yes, and you can use our code TheoHarris to save 10% off your first order of a website or domain.
I could not recommend you do that more.
Two things. One was an accident, and the other one was I was shocked that Kevin said this, and that Hodinkee kept it in, and that no one stopped him.
Got it.
But the first one is, do you know
I'm not shocked when Hodinkee allows something into an article that they shouldn't.
It was also two things. One, they used the old TNH song.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
Which was very bizarre.
A million people sent it over to me because I hadn't watched the episode at that point. And I watch Hodinkee stuff, just not on time.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things. But anyway, the Theo and Harris song was in it. Just was in it. It was just
incredibly
hysterical. Maybe they knew. Maybe they didn't.
I don't know. I know that since they had that song, I know the music library that they use. It doesn't pop up that much.
You know what had to happen? It had to be a totally subliminal thing. I bet you the person that chose that song had no idea it was out. Like, it was ours. Like, it was something we used, and was like, "Yep, that makes sense."
That sounds perfect. I don't know why that reminds me of watches.
Yeah, exactly.
And they probably, who knows? But either way, it was like, wow, that is the TNH song. And it's not like you're a new channel. You've been around for 7 years.
Yeah.
Like,
What was the other thing I was going to say? It was the song, and then it was... it was when Hodinkee leaves things in. I'm referencing the time that Hodinkee said, give your friend a watch, let them wear it. It's a very similar thrill to letting your friend f*** your wife. They actually put this in an article. I mean, holy shit.
I was like...
If my friend looks at my girlfriend, we got trouble.
Meltdown. 100%. I remember reading that, and I was like... Oh, that's a hot take.
You didn't mind.
Screenshot it, sent it to you, and you were like,
"That is
what?"
You are living in such a bubble where everyone you talk to is just equally so up their own ass. Like, obviously, like, okay, sorry, that's a super far liberal thing to like do. It just is.
Yeah.
You know, like conservatives aren't sharing their wives. They're just not. You know.
I was like, but also like, I feel like Hodinkee is always like. They're like, we're gonna throw this right down the middle.
Yeah,
and it's
meanwhile,
just
they're like they have no sense of what the people think.
Yeah,
no sense.
That article went crazy. People are like, what is going on?
What are we in a sex commune?
This is a watch. You're on Hodinkee. I'm on Little Watch. Oh, it's so funny. The other weird thing though about the interview was they kept in once they cut, and the quickness of which they cut and move on was incredibly weird.
Okay, so
it's essentially you're Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
I'm Ben. You say one last line, like, and that's my collection.
And that's my collection.
Good. We're good. All right. Get a quick wrist shot of him, and we'll be good.
Really?
And Kevin's standing up too. He's like, "Cool, that was awesome."
That was great.
Like, Ben's gone.
Ben's gone.
And it's literally like, usually like the person behind the camera is like, "Good," because you want to have that little beat. But Ben just like, "All right, see ya."
Wow. How
gets in his vintage Porsche.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
That's funny.
Very brief story. AP, Kevin Hart was like, I have this new movie coming out. I want a big watch. I want a flashy watch. I want it to be AP. I'm an action hero. I'm a spy, whatever. So he comes home and there's 3 APs just in his house. And he's like, oh my God, fantastic. Takes this one on. I'm not even going to read the reference. It's the chronograph, the 50th anniversary in black ceramic. Puts that on, leaves, goes to an event, gets photographed. Next day, gets a call from, I forget who at AP, but the guy's just like, you f***ed me. You f***ed me. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, those watches are not supposed to be released. Like, we have a massive release plan for these. Like, and you wore it out. And all of a sudden, he said, like, the next day, he's in, like, 50 watch spotting articles. Like, everybody's talking about what he wore.
That's so funny.
And he just said he had no idea. And, like, getting all these calls and stuff. Essentially, like, the funniest part is, like, he's Kevin Hart. Everybody knows Kevin Hart.
I know who Kevin Hart is.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, of course.
But when he was talking about that, he was talking about it like that was his first taste of fame.
That's awesome.
He was like, I don't know. I guess everybody was writing about me all of a sudden.
Oh, that's funny.
Also,
you
really
f***ed me. You f***ed me.
Screaming on the phone.
I imagine him being foreign too.
He is AP. No,
Swiss
Kevin
guy.
Hart's not saying that.
I know Kevin Hart's not foreign.
Yeah, this is Kevin Hart. He did an interview with Hodinkee.
I'm saying I imagine the guy, the AP guy, he is Swiss.
Yeah, he is.
With his little accent, you know, wearing his
calling Kevin, yelling at Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I think that is so funny.
Kevin, you f***ed me. You totally f***ed me, man.
And Kevin, also being Kevin Hart.
Why would you do that?
Kevin, he's doing like his comedic routine, but Kevin's like yelling back at him, being like, you didn't tell me this.
Yeah, right.
And such small problems in the world.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, right.
But anyways, that's hysterical.
I did that one time. I when someone didn't tell me something was a secret, and I said it to someone else, and it was someone's. I was in the room when someone was coming out. But I was so in my phone that it didn't even occur to me that that's what was happening. Okay. So in my mind, it was just like, oh, they're gay. I don't care. And it didn't matter. You know, I'm just on my phone. A week later, I'm talking to somebody, and I'm like, oh, they were there with their girlfriend. And they were like, she's gay? And I'm like, yeah, of course. You didn't know that? But the person was so dramatic about it, as if like I was like, oh, whatever. I don't know.
Dude, I had at a wedding I photographed. I said, or they like pulled me aside, like the husband and wife, and they were like,
"Don't tell the guest that the wife is pregnant."
Exactly.
Oh.
Like, we're pregnant. Like we want to do like a little private
don't tell anybody.
photo shoot here. And I was like in our room away from everyone, like we have someone blocking the door. And I was like, okay, so we did like a little photo shoot with like the heart over the belly and stuff. And then like later at the wedding, they were like, let's do one more at the altar, like really quick. And I was like, okay. But like everybody's there.
Oh, God.
So I'm like taking a photo.
Now one with the baby.
And no, well, she's going like this, or, like, but like very discreetly or whatever. And the mom comes over to me and she's just like standing behind me. And without thinking, I take one picture, I put the camera down, I go, we're just getting some baby photos. And then I go,
An unnecessary remark, too.
yeah, it was just because she was
didn't
there.
even ask.
No, I was like, we're just snapping a few baby pics. Like, we'll be right back. And she was like, what?
Oh, no. Oh, that's so bad.
I know.
Wow, that's way worse than mine.
No, it was horrible. Anyways, so they're pregnant. Finally, right in the beginning of the interview, Kevin is talking about his watch collection, and he goes, oh yeah, obviously sponsored by AP, so I have to wear APs in public, but dude, I really don't want to. I want to wear my watches. Like, I want to wear my watches at home. I have a ton of other amazing watches. Yeah.
Wow, what a weird...
I was like, I guess if you're Kevin Hart, what is AP going to do? But what? And Hodinkee didn't step in it either and be like, hey, we talk to AP a lot, like review it. Like, yeah.
And I get where Kevin Hart's coming from. I mean, clearly you want to wear other things in public. I mean,
But can you say,
clearly,
I'm sponsored by AP, I want to wear my other watches?
No, of course not. That's really close to something that might, like, because the sentiment I get.
Of course.
But
he said, if you're a real watch collector.
Yeah, you don't want to only have AP. It's like,
if I was AP,
I don't feel like AP feels that way.
If I was AP, I'd be like, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Like, that's why we're in this massive partnership.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh my God.
Right. Yeah, you're literally saying, I'm in a brand partnership with AP, but clearly, I mean, I want to buy other stuff. You guys should look at other stuff too. Other stuff is amazing.
I mean, I have to keep all my other amazing watches, like, in the back, but I just,
I just have to wear AP. Again, I get what Kevin means.
I know.
He's totally right.
It's not a secret.
He's 100% correct. You don't want to only wear any brand. I mean, and if there's a brand that you have to wear, AP's a good one. You know what
That's
I mean?
what he's
No
saying.
doubt,
Right, right.
But come on.
He's saying it like he's like a depressed married man.
Weird.
Being like,
That's
I got
weird.
married, but like obviously, like,
I
wish I didn't get married.
I want to park it in some other garages.
And Ben's like, yeah.
Yeah. Ben's like, yep, makes sense. Like, what?
Anyways, that's the Kevin Hart discussion. It's Hodinkee's a place to get like the crazy big hitter guys in there,
Yeah.
and it's funny to see that most of them are like, this is my Royal Oak, this is my Royal Oak concept, this is my Royal Oak Torb.
So here's a question, and it's a kind of a softball, so don't f*** it up.
Yeah. Remember when you used to say that all the time? When I first started working with you, you were much more like just like angry.
Angry? Yeah, well, yes.
I remember you were like, I have a question for you, and I mean, you could answer it wrong, but you'd be an idiot, and you could have no thought, but that'd be incredibly stupid. And I was like,
wow, it's weird.
I was like,
It's bizarre.
huh?
Yeah, I was coming from a bad place.
I have a TNH shirt on.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I was in a bad place. Michael came aboard. Yeah, here's the question. So clearly, there's a tremendous difference in both function and in like result of celebrity endorsements, right?
Sure.
Like George Clooney with Omega, and then not Kevin Hart with AP, but Kevin Hart with Hodinkee right here. Okay.
Oh.
Like George Clooney is clearly forced to wear Omega.
Oh, right.
You don't see genuine
what you're saying.
enthusiasm.
He's not on Hodinkee being
kind of
like,
mailing
oh,
it in.
Of course.
Getting his check.
Yep.
Whereas Kevin Hart is speaking from the heart and about watches he loves. It's not. It's an ad for a brand, I guess, a little bit, but it's really an ad for watches.
And it really runs the line of almost an anti-ad for
yeah, well, which kind of backslash.
I'm dying to not wear AP.
But it's a great ad for watches.
Interesting.
Yeah, almost like how big tobacco would fight against cigarette regulation all together. And we sell our own cigarettes.
Yeah.
But let's make sure that we're anti-regulation. Let's make sure we're pro-watches.
Interesting. Yeah. That's a very interesting take. That's exactly what it's happening too.
Hodinkee, that is the greatest service that Hodinkee does to the industry. I think. And it's like immeasurable, right? Like, I mean, Hodinkee is so responsible more than anyone else for the cultural change in watches.
Yeah. No, that's so true.
And it's because it's in large part because of celebrities.
And the truth is too, like, not that I look at a celebrity ad and I'm like, oh, he's not a watch guy. But if I see George Clooney wearing a watch in an ad and then Kevin Hart, I'm like, Kevin Hart's a watch guy.
100%.
Kevin Hart's a watch guy.
Like, even think about it, right? Like I'm a, like lifelong soccer fan. I've been a Real Madrid fan since the day I was born. I was a Real Madrid fan in Madrid when Beckham was there, when he was part of the Galacticos, right? Like I am a Real Madrid David Beckham fan. Okay, I had the Beckham jersey, right? Everything with the England jersey, right? David Beckham has done nothing to sell me a Tudor at all. I'm not a big Kevin Hart fan. He's funny, maybe. I've never watched one of his specials.
Yep.
He is selling me watches way more than David Beckham. And I have far more of an affinity for Beckham.
Because it's not, as we talked about before, it's like David Beckham's almost like, all right, you're an idiot. You're going to buy a watch because I'm wearing it. I'm good at sports. Kevin Hart is like, I'm not even trying to sell you a watch right now, but I want to talk about these watches. And you're like, oh, yeah. Me too.
100%.
Yep.
Speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
Speaking from the heart. And it becomes difficult. And this is where I think a lot of the brands miss, and AP here specifically. Like, don't tell me that AP can't put together a campaign with Kevin Hart
Please.
That has a little bit more substance, where he's, really genuinely getting stoked about the watches and not just wearing them.
Yeah, talk about your collection.
100%.
Yeah.
Did you see Mr. Wonderful went viral like last week or 2 weeks ago? About his AP?
Okay, I was going to say, for what reason?
Oh, yeah. Did you see it?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's pull it up.
It's incredible. I can't believe I'm holding it. The only one in the world.
Okay.
Your delivery is a little off, but the sentiment's there.
A little bit corny. People made fun of him for the fake tears, if they are fake. I don't particularly have a position there, but people made fun of him a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's headed in the right direction. Mm-hmm. That's headed in the right direction of not just product placement, but a little bit of particularly, emotive storytelling.
Yep.
That's in the right direction.
That is, it's like change the. Well, what's also interesting is that he did that. He made it.
Right.
Not them. But change the direction a little bit. Like, we're presenting this to you, and we're not in the boutique anymore.
Yeah.
You're at like APHQ or something. Then it's like, wow.
Like, if we were to put together a campaign around a celebrity and one of these watches and one of these, partnerships, like, imagine, and you could do it a million ways. You could do it, like anything else. You could do it for $1 million and you could do it for $100,000, right? Like, every campaign can be done both ways. How do you want to do it? You want to do it with Scotch tape, or you want to,
Yeah.
That
or
being
Gaffer's
said,
tape.
right? Exactly. Imagine like Kevin O'Leary. Let's say in Switzerland, okay, for let's call it 24 hours, okay, and just filming the entire experience and planning the experience. I'm talking at AP, at the manufacturer, and planning the experience where you're going to get some really genuine audio bites, getting some really genuine moments, not just ooh ah, but like even like filming up the glass of wine at lunch and talking with the watchmaker about maybe where he comes from, or you know what I mean. Like, by the end of the day, at the end of the 24 hours, you'd end up with a full campaign. You'd end up with a full campaign of pieces for social, for YouTube, for everything.
Yeah.
For everything you could do it with almost no intervention. You almost don't want to set up anything as the crew. Like, you really want to make sure the experience is going to evoke quality moments, but you really want to be totally laid back. And obviously presenting them with a watch when you're there, like that whole thing, that's a genuine celebrity engagement.
Yeah.
The photos, or the
Iconic holding the watch.
Yeah. Leo DiCaprio, come on. Not to say that people haven't bought tags because of Leo DiCaprio. I'm not saying that. I'm sure they have. Ads have to, every day ads need to be better because people are so desensitized.
Exactly. It's just numb. You're like, oh, okay.
The goalpost is always moving.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kevin O'Leary was kind of on the right track there. I think he did a pretty good job. I actually don't love the watch on the strap, but it was pretty cool.
But it is the only one in the world.
Yeah, a little dramatic.
Okay.
But, you know.
Okay.
But,
If he took that narration and put it over like good product film, then I'd be like, oh, okay, you're acting. But
Yeah,
this, I
right.
feel like it was like kind of going both ways.
But there was also some cuts there, so there wasn't the natural progression of it wasn't the natural order,
Right.
You know, that could have been a minute later, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kevin Hart, very cool. Hodinkee does an amazing job bringing celebrities in. I know that they brought Ed Sheeran in a while ago. I also didn't watch that.
Yep.
But I know that it was of value to the watch community in growing it. John Mayer, that's John Mayer's Talking Watches, is the reason that kind of like I fell in love with watches, or kind of pushed me over the edge.
It's iconic.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've done a ton of shit like that. That's been incredibly cool.
Yeah.
Celebrities matter. Celebrities definitely matter. It's just
In what way? How do you put that direction on?
right. We could do awareness and just do a 2 out of 10, or you could put a little bit of legwork in, a little bit of brain work, and you can get a celebrity to really sell your product for you with almost no extra work on their end.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really on everyone else's end, on the team's end. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's it.
All right. Well, I think we're done.
Take care.